Uh, Welcome back, participants. It's a immense pleasure to have our second session, and with pleasure, I would like to welcome our session speaker, Dr. S. Paul Sathiyan. To introduce him, Dr. Paul Sathiyan is a distinguished academician and industry leader in automotive engineering technology with a career spanning over 2 decades. He earned his Bachelor of Engineering degree from Shivandi Adityanath College of Engineering, Trichandur, in 2004. He pursued his Masters of Engineering from Karunya Institute of Technology and Sciences, graduating in 2007. Completed his PhD at the same institution in 2017. Research system, advanced driver assistance system, adapts a critical area in the evolution of automotive safety, and served as a assistant professor at Karunya Institute of Technology for 15 years, where he had made significant contributions to development. His academic career includes of over research in reputed national and international journals, reflecting a dedication to advancing knowledge. His dual role as an admission officer showcased his ability to communicate effectively, foster collaboration across departments. In 2022, Dr. Sathiyan joined EinNel Technologies as technical director, where he continued to drive innovation in the automotive sector. His leadership in based system engineering has been instrumental in pushing automotive technology. Recently, he is focused on optimizing adaptive cruise control systems, enhancing intelligence, safety, and efficiency. Dr. Satyan's organizational and demonstration skills have enabled him to process complex technical concepts, diverse. His commitment to technological excellence, combined with his academic rigor, insights, makes him pivotal figure in the advancement of intelligent automotive systems. S. Paul Sathiyan. Sir, now the floor is open to you. We can start your knowledge sharing.
Thank you, ma'am. Hope I'm audible.
Yes, sir, it's audible.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you. In case if my voice breaks, please do notify me.
Oh, definitely, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So I would like to thank Dr. Jabrani, an eminent professor who has given me this opportunity, as well as SNS College of Engineering, for giving me this valuable time to share my expertise uh, in terms of data analytics in EV charging. Uh, Basically, I would like to start with this particular content, following data analytics and what are the data models, data types, how do we handle it? Basically, after coming to industry, I could learn so many things, how the data are handled, how it is real, how these data are converted into valuable insights, which will be beneficial for the whole stakeholders. Then we'll be moving on to applying this data analytics for exclusively for EV. Then I have come up with one use case, and then when you go with a wide variety of data or huge volume of data, then how this platform engineering is very much essential. I hope this most of the audience in this FDP belongs to the core engineering branches. And what we could observe in the industry and the current trend is more getting inclined towards AI, data science, and so on and so forth. But what gap that we could figure out is that, like, though they may be an expertise, or though they have sufficient expertise in data analytics, uh, data engineering, data science, so on and so forth, the lack of core engineering knowledge, or to be precise, the domain knowledge what is required, we could find that there is a huge gap in that. Not every data analytics engineer or any data analytics or data science engineer will have the potential to understand the domain knowledge. So it is very hard for the industry to find the app data analytics engineer, right? You might be seeing a lot of ads for data engineers, data analytics. And by the time that I complete my presentation, I hope that will give you a clear picture how the industry is moving, what data analytics job opening post that is available in LinkedIn says, what is the gap that is there. All those things you'll be able to understand it very clearly and help your students to position them accordingly, so that they will be able to contribute to the industry as well as for building the nation. To start with, basically, I would like to give you this 5-level pyramid. We call it as a maturity model or a data analytics model. So if you start with this 5-level of data model or data analytics maturity model, it starts with the descriptive level, moving on further to diagnostic level, then the predictive level, then perspective level, then moving on to adaptive and autonomous level. So basically, there are 5 different levels in which you can understand how these data can be handled, and the level of insights that you can get at every level. It's very immense, and it will be very interesting to know. But as of now, the academics are stuck up somewhere in the first 2 levels. But whereas 3, 4, and 5 is what industry is looking for, particularly at level 5, the industry is looking for. And as we are moving towards or marching towards the slogan that Make in India, Made in India concepts, data analytics in India and the engineers in India should be rising up to the level 5 data analytics with the maturity model 5. To start with, what is descriptive level? To understand what is descriptive level, most of the time we try to find an answer what is happening. It's a traditional business intelligence approach that most of the organizations are very well aware of. To speak in context to the academia, we do a lot of these kind of descriptive level analytics. Hello, am
Yes,
I
sir.
audible? Am I
It's
audible?
audible, sir. It's
Yeah,
audible,
yeah.
sir.
Okay, okay. Okay, fine. So to start with, like when you talk about like this descriptive level in academia, a very well-known analytics that most of our faculties are very well aware of is this NIRF analytics that we most probably do every fortnight. So it is a traditional BI approach. Most of the industries use this level of approach for sales report, to analyze their monthly profit and loss. And then if they wanted to study about the demographic information, how the sales are pitched in different regions of the country, they try to use this descriptive level. That is the first level of information that they can get. And the second level is a diagnostics level, wherein like why it is happening. That is where most of the engineers or most of the key stakeholders want to know why it is happening. What is happening is the first level of answer that we'll get, and the second level of answer that most of the data analytics approach should answer is why it is happening. So it tries to find the factors and causes, why it has happened like this, what are the causes, right? And then like, when you move on further, you uh, try to drill down further, try to have some correlation and hypothesis based on descriptive analysis. So already based upon the descriptive analysis, now you perform a correlation and hypothesis. What is the relation between two different parameters? Is one parameter is influencing the other? What is that relation? We try to address that particular gap. And the third level is predictive level. It's try to forecast. Now we have understood like why it has happened and what is happening. Now we try to forecast what will happen in the future because of the current trend, right? Now forecasting and probabilities are one of the key insights that most of the uh, industries would like to know in terms of business, what will happen, right? So sales forecasting, risk assessment, churn prevention, and all those things will happen at this predictive level of data analytics. And the fourth level is prescriptive level. Prescriptive level, when we talk about prescriptive level, optimizing system and processes. Now comes the research role, right? Most of our research are trying to find an answer of whether the system is optimized, whether the processes are optimized, all those things are there. So most of the industry would try to find out an answer for this, whether the existing process uh, is optimized, whether the is existing process can be improved so that they can quickly recover their investment. Most of the guideline or the benchmarking is happening in the industry based upon how fast that the industry can recover their money that they have invested in any project. So that is where very important. At the end of the day, ROI speaks. It can be of any industry. At the end of the day, ROI speaks. So in prescriptive level, what action should be taken, right? So now after understanding all these three levels, now we are trying to find out like what action should be taken. Or I would rather say you would have come across this particular jargon which is there in the market, which talks about like data driven decision making, right? So prescriptive level is what now being emphasized, and more associated term that I would like to say is digital twin, right? They try to replicate the entire system in the digital format and then try to find out, uh, simulate the scenario and try to do lot of analysis, and based upon that they try to uh, figure out what decisions should be taken so that they will be recovering their money at the earliest. So these four levels are predominantly known to us, and the fifth level is like how does the system adapt to changes, because all the four levels are like they don't have self adaptation, or I would rather say they don't have self adaptation capability. There should be some human intervention, some level of human intervention should be there so that the system can uh, function by its function. Whereas in the fifth level, now everybody is talking about like adaptive and autonomous. The system should know that there has been a change, and based upon the change, the system should have its own ability to adapt to the changes. So when it comes to this adaptive and autonomous, most of us are looking for algorithms, self-learning algorithms. Most of our research are in this particular area, right? So what is happening uh, in the academia and what is happening in the industry is that industry would try to develop systems which are more tightly and stringently operated. Say for example, if you take an electric vehicle or if you take a battery, right? The extreme conditions in which we test batteries are somewhere like 100 degrees Celsius, but in realistic, it won't happen. But we try to ensure that the algorithm what we use, the analytics what we use, the process that we use, the manufacturing process that we use, all those things try to work in an adverse situation, because if you see, the operating temperature will not come up to 100 degrees Celsius. But in case like when it comes to a short circuit, right, you can't imagine the rate at which the temperature increases. So keeping all those things in our mind, we are trying to develop our data analytics skill in such a way that the system what we develop, the algorithm what we develop, will be able to adapt and take decision of its own. Of course, having understood like every system has its own boundary, having clearly defining the boundary, or I would say defining the boundary needs a lot of data analytics. That's where we don't hypothetically define a boundary. Now, defining a boundary itself, you need data analytics. So having done all these things, recently we have done one particular project for foreign client, wherein like we had to study the complete system and then propose a boundary condition which will help them to manufacture their product in such a way that at any adverse condition, right, adverse condition in terms of power fluctuation, adverse condition in terms of load, the system has to adapt. For that, we had to do a lot of analytics, study how their process goes on, understand all those things, and then propose a solution, develop an algorithm for them. So most of the time, as an academician, we try to restrict ourselves in an area that there is a lack of data. There is uh, only this level of data is available. As an engineer who has to be very strong in the STEM area, we should be able to generate data, which we call it as a synthetic data, right? Generate as much synthetic data as possible, complying or obeying to all the formulas, physics, chemistry, and all those science-based. Then, after generating the synthetic data, right, moving forward, when we do a testing, when we develop an algorithm and test that algorithm for a situation, there is a chance like 98% to 99% it will succeed. So gone are those days where we told like there is a lack of data. Now we have come to a situation wherein like we can generate data. There are a lot of simulation tools are there. Now moving forward, if I have to say, the days of simulation has gone. Now we are talking about days of data-driven simulation, entirely different approach, wherein like we try to bring in or replicate the entire real-time scenario into a data-driven model and then simulate it. So these are some of the uh, important things that as an academician, as a person who's working with data, particularly in EV, we should be aware of. To move further, we should also understand what are the different types of data. It's not like C or C++, the various kind of data that I get. How do I understand those data? Because we have time series data, we have cross-sectional data, we have panel data. So how do I gather those information? Again, when I talk about all these things, uh, uh, most of us are familiar with IoT systems or vehicle tracking systems, wherein like almost every electric vehicle is now coming equipped with vehicle tracking system or the usage tracking system, wherein like how the vehicle is being driven. All those data come as a time series data, right? And then when when you try to get information from more than one source or multiple source at the same simultaneously, how do I handle those data, right? We cannot simply combine all the data just like that. We have to analyze so many things. To one of the OEM for whom we have done this data analytics for their vehicle fleet management. In that, we found like they happen to get the data once in every 6 seconds, which made us to conclude one thing, like the dynamics of the system could not be measured immediately, or the dynamics of the system could be measured only at every 6 seconds. Only at every 6 seconds we were able to measure those dynamics of the vehicle. So that itself is a bottleneck. That itself is a problem for the vehicle or the product development and so on and so forth. So understanding all these things, when we have a time series data, when you have a cross-sectional data, or when we have a longitudinal data wherein like parallelly over a period of time, I'm getting data for a particular system in multiple data acquisition cards. How do I handle it? Then when I gather those information, how do I categorize those data? Very simple example is that when we talk about electric vehicle in general, electric vehicle now has become a big umbrella under which we have like several types of uh, electric vehicles, plug-in hybrid vehicle like series, parallel, so on and so forth, right? How do I categorize those data? Then I will also have numeric data. How do I handle a numeric data or a quantitative data? For example, EV sales is one of the um, quantitative data, and then comes the textual data. Particularly in one of our for one of our client, we were dealing with lot of reports which are textual based, meaning like it was there in a black and white paper. We never have they didn't have a soft copy of those data. So how do I handle such kind of data? Textual based data, then geographical data, then there will be a streaming of data, particularly the IoT data. How do I sync data from multiple sources which are captured to the cloud from 3 or 4 different IoT systems? How do I sync it? Because synchronization is very, very important when we do data analytics in a time series data. Then the hierarchical data. How do I categorize it, right? For example, if we take the charging levels, as of now, India is following 3 different levels. They have beautifully categorized it as level 1, level 2, and level 3. Uh, when we as engineers, when we as academicians talk about EV charging, already they have grouped it as level 1, level 2, and level 3. Under which category we are going to explore it? So again, that is one of the other concern. Then comes the event data. In one of the projects where we faced a real challenge was like, say for example, they wanted to know the charging time, what time the vehicle stops, and how much time it takes for the person to turn on the charger. For example, if somebody has an electric vehicle, he goes to the public charging station, and then he hooks the vehicle to the electric EVSC, electric vehicle charging station, hooks it. They wanted to know how much time it takes. So in that case, like that particular event could not be recorded because both are from 2 different vendors. One is from the OEM, another one is the charger provider. So how do we integrate all those data? So again, there are challenges in each and every type of data that we handle. So to having understood like these are the challenges that are there when we talk about the data analytics. Now, how do I categorize it? I cannot take all the as of now, I could have around 10 different uh, data analytics, particularly done for charging alone, right? It can be a load management, or it can be a charge station placement and planning. Where do I place the charging station? What type of predictive maintenance that I should uh, apply? What kind of optimization, cost optimization that I should follow, or otherwise, what is the user behavior insights? Then how do I enhance the charging efficiency? supporting renewable energy integration, how do I do it, right? Then what is the regulatory and compliance support that is available? What is the real-time monitoring of the charging? How do I integrate it with the AI and IoT with my charging station? So only with charging itself, we have around 10 to 15 key parameters that needs to be monitored. But in general, if we are all working together, though it can be an industry or it can be an academician, everybody is trying to contribute towards green energy. Everybody is trying to contribute in such a way that we bring down the carbon emission. That's the ultimate goal in which like the entire country is now moving on. So when we have trying to contribute together, one common focus should be there, right? So if one focus has to come, then we should understand what kind of data that I am going to handle. Point number one. Point number two, when I handle such kind of data, how do I categorize it? And what is the value that it is going to bring to the EV industry? So three things that it has to you have to keep in mind, right? So if I have to categorize it in general, I would categorize it into three different ways, right? When we talk about EV charging analytics, or it can be for any industry. These three, I could say that these three are the essential stakeholders or essential key players uh, on which any decision can be made. One is the R&D, or in general, in short, we call it as a product development, PD, right? R&D, and then the business development and the customer satisfaction. These three are the key important factors that would really support how any product that we bring in, how it is going to move forward in the future, right? Particularly, everybody would be aware of like how EV took almost three different generations, or I would say at three different time instances. EV came, it went off. Now EV is coming. There are challenges that is being faced by the EV industry, but still we are not leaving EV, but still we are trying to move forward to find a solution. So there were situations when EV faced a lot of such kind of challenges, but particularly when we talk about like product development, now we are more focused on like the battery technology. We are more focused on like drivetrain optimization, right? So it is in terms of efficiency, in terms of reducing the losses, in terms of like how do I increase the energy density, how do I improve the efficiency of my transmission system, and all those things. Today, uh, as a coincidence, I came to know that Toyota has come up with their diesel engine version, right? Though diesel engine is pretty old technology, Toyota is still working on two different technology. One is hydrogen, and the other one is diesel engine. Today, there was one particular article. It states that they have improved the thermal efficiency of diesel engine up to 53%. Somewhere previously, I think it is somewhere close to 17 to 20%. Now they have improved it to 53%. That's a remarkable achievement. But still, what will be the emission? Still, Toyota has to reveal it. Still, a lot of testing and other analysis has to be done. Hope Toyota will be coming out with that. Right. As of now, if you see, R&D is one particular sector. Most of the academicians are working in that particular R&D sector. Whereas when it comes to any industry will look all the three together, right? All these three are their own. The industry's children, they cannot leave anything, right? Any industry who wants to bring innovation, they try to bring all these three together, treat every three sectors together. So whenever they do a business development, they'll try to see that R&D is doing good, customer satisfaction is good. When it comes to the customer satisfaction, they will never bother about what kind of marketing strategy is done, what kind of research, how much quantum of research is being put in that. Customer satisfaction is like, at the end of the day, how much time it will take for me to charge my vehicle. Point number two, what will be the cost fuel efficiency. Point number three, how much I can drive, what will be the range of uh, range that I will get from the electric vehicle. So all the three, if you see, they may be uh, Tom and Jerry, right? But at the end of the day, they have to work together in order to ensure that the ultimate goal of bringing down the carbon emission is achieved, right? So as I told you, like as I highlighted, I have given some 10 different insights, bringing all those things, right? Whatever product development is there, whatever business development is there, customer satisfaction is there, it can be analyzed with this 10 different uh, metrics, I would say, are guidelines, particularly for EV charging. But you can take time to analyze like which one will come under which segment, right? So let me take you to a case study wherein like one of my research article wherein like uh, we did lot of such kind of data analytics in our earlier research. So I'm going to focus on two different verticals. One is vehicle design and market identification. So these are my two different areas on which this data analytics, what I am going to present as a case study before you, will give you an understanding. So in order to understand that, when we see global EV trend, in 2023, it was around 14 million, right? It is based upon the data what is available, I have selected. And then up to 2024, as on date, it was reported as 17 million, right? So there is a huge increase. Almost 3 million vehicles have increased compared to 2022, 2023, right? But this gives me a very, very, very shallow information. So we cannot use this for any product development. It can be useful for only business development, not even for customer satisfaction. What is the level of customer satisfaction because of the increase in sale? Nobody knows. Only thing we know that 3 million vehicles uh, got increased. Let's analyze it further, right? So what is the geographical or spatial data what is available? If you see this based upon the spatial data, whatever I have told you earlier, in China, there were around 10 million only for last year, right? And 45% of their total car sales in that region is electric vehicle. That means like out of every 100 vehicle, 45 vehicles are EV vehicles. That's the meaning. Then comes the Europe. 25% of their total car sales are electric cars. Then North America. Then Vietnam. Vietnam and Thailand, they are doing a lot of what to say, adaptation. The rate in which the EV adaptation is increasing tremendously in Thailand and Vietnam. Right. Okay. So having understood this little trend, now we could see that though 4 million, though 3 million vehicle got increased, most of the vehicles are now getting localized to China. 45% of them is now localized to China. Right. Let's drill down further based upon the data analytics. Right. Now, let's get into the sales comparison with respect to electric vehicle and commercial vehicle. Commercial vehicle, I would rather say like the conventional vehicle, the fuel vehicle, right? So let's do a comparison. As per our logic, let's take a logical reasoning now. When we take a logical reasoning, if an electric vehicle sale is increasing, that means the sale of conventional vehicle should come down. That's a logical analysis that we can do when we do this data analytics. That's the insight that I would like to draw from here. So if a country is more keen on promoting electric vehicle, then it should push EV and the sales of conventional vehicles should come down. Right now, I have projected somewhere like 6 charts before you. They are all data as of 2023. I couldn't get the recent data, 2023 data that I have taken, and I have done a comparison. Now, if you look at this graph, right, except for China, you can see the sales have increased in electric vehicle as well as sales have increased in the conventional vehicle or the fuel vehicles. What does it mean? That means if somebody is buying electric vehicle, he is buying, and the person who is already buying a conventional vehicle, he is still buying a conventional vehicle. That means like there is no more adaptation, or I would say uh, the likeness towards electric vehicle are still lacking. That's what I could say. So if you see here, like in China, Thailand, that's why I gave you one case study like Thailand and Vietnam. There is a huge adaptation for electric vehicle in the last 1 year. But still, if you see the sales in that particular vehicle, sales of EV is still higher. If you compare in China, China is higher when compared to Thailand and Vietnam. But what point that I would like to insist here is that though there is an increase in the sale of EV, but still there is an increase in the sale of conventional vehicle. So the ultimate conclusion that I would give is that still the country is not contributing for the primary goal of adapting to EV. That's one conclusion that we can take. Let's drill down to India, right? So as of September 2024, right, almost like 18 lakh 29,000 EVs have been sold. But if you look at the figure, drill down figure, you can see more sales on the two-wheeler segment, then the three-wheeler segment, and finally comes the four-wheeler, right? So the sales, now let's understand it, right? Our primary objective is to bring down the carbon emission. But when we think about bringing down the carbon emission, we have to hit the most tough fellow, right? The most toughest fellow that who is contributing to the pollution. It's mostly the heavy vehicles. But in India, the sale of electric vehicle, two-wheeler is increasing. That is a good sign. Still, technology is developing. We are now started focusing on three-wheeler market, which is pretty higher than the other segments. So in India, we are strategically moving towards green energy. We are strategically moving towards reducing the carbon emission only based upon targeting the electric vehicle segments, right? So in the first comparison, we have seen like there was an increase of somewhere to 3 to 4 million electric vehicles. When you drill down further, what is the type of electric vehicle? That's why in the data type I have there was a category of categorizing data, right? This is called categorizing data. On a whole approach, we got around 17 million. Now, when you keep drilling down, you'll be able to find out which segment, because electric or EV charging primarily depends on the type of vehicle the buyers are affordable, or the electric vehicle charging primarily depends on the type of sale that is happening in any country. So in order to understand these things, right, we cannot simply say that increase the power generation by renewable energy, install a lot of electric or EV charging stations. The industry cannot go like that, right? When it comes to implementation, the primary thing comes to any industry is that what is the ROI? How fast I will be able to get my returns on my investment. Any industry would think like that. So keeping that thing as in our mind, now the industry is now keen on investing in a segment which will give them a return on investment at the earliest. So let's not just jump directly into increasing the electric vehicle charging facility. But rather than understand what will be the demand, right? What will be the capacity of charging station that is required? If more charging stations are going to come, what should be the rate in which I have to increase my solar power plant? What is the rate at which I have to increase my green energy power generation? So all these things have to be finalized before we launch into our actual implementation, right? So to summarize all these things, if you have to uh, decide or make a decision, this EV market primarily depends upon these three factors, right? What is the EV charging paradigm? That's what this particular FTP is going to contribute. Then what is the vehicle competency, right? Because now we are talking about replacing the conventional vehicle with the electric vehicle. Does the EV that is there in the market as of now is competent enough with the conventional vehicle which is adapted by the people? And then what is the government policies, right? So I have just categorized this particular data analytics in these three different verticals, right? So when we talk about the competency, right, i'll I'll primarily start with affordability, because Indian market primarily dominated by affordability. What is the cost? What is the vehicle class? Whether it is a two-wheeler, three-wheeler, four-wheeler, or it's a truck, what type of vehicle class it is? What is the initial cost of the vehicle, right? Now, everybody was thinking about like 20 lakh. The EV cost more than 20 lakhs. Now there are few market players who have come with subscription mode, right? You might have heard about this MG. They have come up with the subscription mode. That means like you pay for the vehicle, not for the battery. Battery is going to be a life. It's going to be on their shoulders. They will take care of the replacement of the battery until the entire life of the vehicle. So now they have brought down the cost to somewhere close to 10 lakhs. Now, I have also studied that particular market, right? What type of vehicle that um, uh, Indian people are buying, right? Surprisingly, we could see when we did the data analytics, we could see there is a huge uh, reduction in the sale of the low segment vehicles, particularly like if the vehicles which are costing somewhere like 6 lakhs, 7 lakhs, there is a huge drop in that particular segment vehicle sales. I'm talking about the conventional vehicle. There is a very high the increase in the sale of vehicle which is costing somewhere around 16 lakhs, 17 lakhs, 18 lakhs, right? There is an increase in that sale. That means like now people are trying to go for the little higher segments. Now, nobody wants to go for the lower segment, a compact vehicle. Now, everybody wants to have some space. Everybody wants to have some infotainment in their vehicle. Some driver assistant features should be there in the vehicle. Now, Indian market is slightly changing in the last 2 years, right? When we talk about the affordability, yes, vehicle cost plays a very major role. Then comes the cost per kilometer. For one of the OEM, what we have done is that we worked out a cost per kilometer for them. We gave them strategies and how it can be effectively done, right? After studying their systems, internal system, did a lot of analysis on the powertrain. After doing that, we gave a solution for them that helped them to bring down their vehicle cost, by which they were able to increase their sale, right? Then comes the vehicle specification, right? What is the propulsion torque? What is the propulsion power? Then what is the vehicle performance? Because nobody wants to compromise in these two. They don't want to uh, compromise on the vehicle performance. Driving range, what is the range? What is the top speed? What is the acceleration, right? So I have done a little comparison on that, right? To be very open and for the transparency of the audience, I would like to say this is not the uh, recent data. This analysis have been done in 2021 by a team of members. So just wanted to give you an understanding how data analytics can help the industry, how the data analytics can uh, uh, help you fix a boundary condition for your research. For that, I think this particular exercise, what we have done, will really help you. One is that vehicle cost. We just did a vehicle cost comparison, right? So we studied uh, the market, US market, China, Japan, Germany, and Norway, and compare it with India. Most of you are aware, like Norway is leading in the electric vehicle segment. They have more electric vehicles, they have more green energy. Almost like 60 to 70% of their electricity is generated by hydropower plant in Norway. That's one good sign. They were I could see when we did that analysis with Norway, right? Then if you when we compared this, we could find like uh, the Norway's, particularly the China's EV, German EV, almost they have very close association, or I would say there is a close correlation between China's EV and German's EV. Their cost is comparatively close, but when it comes to India, the price was little on the higher side. Now, because of a lot of case studies, lot of analysis, they are now trying to bring down the cost of the electric vehicle. Now, I think you might have seen about one of the OEM. They have uh, the challenge, the international player saying that we will release an electric vehicle. We will release a particular vehicle with all the features within 20 lakhs. So they have done it, right? Uh, Social media is filled with such kind of quotes. You might have seen it. If not, you can go through it. And then what is the cost per kilometer of run? So when you compare that cost per kilometer of run, everybody knows like electric vehicle is cheap, running cost is cheap. Comparatively, we were able to compete with China more or less, but uh, we are on the very good side when it comes to the running cost. Now comes the performance. Very interesting part that we could see is that like most of the power and torque, right? The power and torque, proportion torque, they have made it competent enough because they have learned from their previous failure. Why electric vehicle failed is one of the reasons is like they don't have that such kind of performance. So now after studying based upon their past failures, they have come up with a decision making like if any electric vehicle has to be made, it has to be competent enough with the EVs. So most of the countries, they have tried to inline their EVs with the conventional uh, vehicles. But US is little far ahead. They have a huge variation, right? Right from 200 kilowatt till 550 kilowatt. They were able to have this power generated from their propulsion system very high, an efficient system in the US versions of electric vehicle. Similarly, the torque, they rest of the countries, they try to have it as close as possible. When it comes to is there any mic is on? Yeah. Okay. When it comes to performance wise, right? This is where the challenge is, right? So we could see a lot of challenges in this particular area, particularly the driving range. Uh, Still, uh, the range that any conventional vehicle could give, still most of the EVs, even in Norway, they were not able to compete with the present EV. That's one of the challenge. That's where now we are thinking about like why we are thinking about like battery swapping technologies. We are thinking about like wireless charging. We are thinking about like having charging on the go, right? On the go in the means like just like an electric train, let's have a separate track for electric vehicle. So that's the kind of thought process is being done so in order to address this particular driving range issue itself. When it comes to the speed, right? Most of the uh, EVs are quite competent with the conventional vehicle, as well as the acceleration also. When it comes to the acceleration, yes, of course, like uh, Indian vehicles are little. Can I have the mics turned off? Yeah. Okay. So when it comes to the acceleration, yes, of course, like most of the vehicles or most of the countries, they try to ensure that they stick to the standards that are there in the market. Yes, of course, they are trying to align the vehicle compared to the conventional vehicle. When it okay, next comes the charging power transfer, right? How much charge uh, that can be transferred, or we would say like how fast we charge the vehicle, right? It can be a static charging, or it can be a dynamic charging. Either it can be a wireless charging, or it can be a conductive charging. So previously the problem was like there was no standard, right? And another information that I would like to say is that any OEM who is manufacturing an electric vehicle, they try to manufacture an electric vehicle and sell it at least to 5 to 6 countries, right? If they are making an electric vehicle in India, they try to export to Bangladesh, they try to export it to Sri Lanka, they try to export it to other countries. That means like a single design, they wanted to ensure that it is adaptable or it is saleable in other countries also. So when it comes to that particular requirement, obviously standardization comes to a very standardization is very, very important, because if you don't have a standards and norms in vehicle design, definitely the sale across the borders may not be possible. So that's where standardization comes. Most of you would be aware of, if people who are working in electric vehicle charging, you might be aware of like what are these standards all about, right? So I don't want to dwell much deeper into it. But as of now, the electric vehicle charging, if you see, apart from the fast charging of somewhere close to 400 kilowatt, now people are talking about wireless charging. By having wireless charging, why don't we reduce the battery size so that the cost of the vehicle can be brought down? So they are thinking in a different way, right? And then like as I told you, like different uh, connectors are being used for different power, modes of charging, either if it is an AC or DC. uh, we have different versions. That means like charging compatibility will be an issue. If suppose as a person who is trying to install electric vehicle charging station, then I have to think about like what type of charging connectors or charging gun should I use in my, or should I provide in my charging station. That becomes a very, very uh, great challenge. One of the user whom I know, electric vehicle user whom I know, uh, he used to search for a particular type of connector whenever he is driving from one location to the another location, ensure that that particular type of connector facility is available in a charging station. That becomes like you are making the customer to do a technical work which he is not ready to do. But since most of the EVs are brought by uh, people who are well aware of electric vehicle, now they are ready to do it. But when it comes to the Indian market, most of the people are below average, right? Economy level. But if you have to bring electric vehicle to that particular segment also, because that particular segment is a very huge segment, then we cannot make those people to depend more on we cannot force them to be more technical. We have to make sure that they just search for a charging station, they go there, they hook their vehicle, charge it, and go on. So that's the kind of thing that uh, most of the OEMs are looking forward, right? So having a charging. And then when we talk about charging, right, again, what is the capacity of onboard charges that should be available? right? Whereas like when US is talking about 20 plus kilowatt of onboard chargers, right? Onboard chargers will be little bulky, that will increase the cost of the vehicle. But when you see in Indian market, during the time when we did this particular research, we had a maximum of somewhere to 7 kilowatt of onboard chargers. Now, people are telling like it has come up to 11 kilowatt, right? So, but the rate in which the other countries are growing, still we have to grow. But what actually creates a problem is it's not the uh, absence of technology, it's the affordability of the people. You should understand that. You cannot simply blame India as having a onboard charges which is very less capacity. It's not like the technology is already available. The same OEM who is selling to US, he can also have it in India. But now it makes the OEM to do one more engineering work to redesign his vehicle and get it approved and launch it in India. It's all because affordability comes into picture. So there are several things that you can understand when we think about electric vehicle just like that, right? So this is one thing. And the other thing that I would like to showcase is that like what is the ratio, right? Electric vehicle charging stations to electric vehicle ratio, right? So Korea, though we have not seen Korea in the previous slides, but what surprised us is that like uh, that means like every two vehicle will have one charger. So that is the ratio in which Korea has developed its infrastructure uh, uh, with respect to electric vehicle charging, right? Whereas if you see in India, it's below 0.05. So we have to increase it. Yes, of course, when we think about electric vehicle, increasing the electric vehicle charging station, we have to think again whether what would be the rate of increasing in the green energy production, right? Keeping that thing in your mind, right? And what it is forecasted, right? For by 2030, this electric vehicle charging station or electric vehicle infrastructure market will have around 221 billion US dollars, right? So that will be the market, huge market, right, will be there. So how we are going to meet it, right? That means like there is when we talk about this huge level, then think about what will be the stability that that as an electrical engineer should bring into my grid system. Because as you know, like when you're trying to fast charge your vehicle, what kind of dynamics that this electric vehicle can induce in the grid. So having think in a broad picture, right? How my research can be widened up, right? How this dynamics are, how this transients can be reduced, wherein like I don't harm my electrical equipments, the transformers, the transmission line, the insulators, right? The generators, whatever systems that I use, what will be the impact on that particular system, right? That can be another deep down analysis that you can do, right? Then what will be the market size of EV charging in the in terms of uh, country wise? In country wise, by 2027, it is because in the earlier slide I have showed you only in China the conventional vehicle is sale is declining, whereas the rest of the countries it's still increasing comparatively to the EV, right? And then when we talk about like wireless charging market, again, Vitricity is going to be one of the leading key player in wireless charging technology, right? You can think about right, there are a lot of open source articles available with regard to their technology. As an academician, as a researcher, how can I improve this particular technology? Because that's going to be because that is currently dominating the EV charging infrastructure, right? So then if you look at the EV charging density, it is projected like in another 5 to 10 years, right? China will have like 0.364 EV charges per kilometers. That means like we can say like for every 300 meters or every 400 meters, there should be some charging stations that will be installed. So to conclude, right, to conclude what we have discussed so far is that like for any key elements, as we are aware, like cost plays a very major role, driving range plays a very major role, and what is the initial cost, all these things play a very major role. When it comes to more specific domain wise, what is the battery technology, right? We have to talk in terms of specific power, specific energy density, what is the cost per kilowatt, all those things. Like now we are moving, um, we are moving into a battery technology wherein like how we can reduce the amount of lithium usage, how I can reduce it. So we are thinking about so many things, because even battery raw material mining itself is creating a lot of pollution. How can I reduce it, right? It's a chain effect. We are trying to reduce the pollution because of burning the fuels. On the other side, mining the raw materials necessary for battery manufacturing is creating another level of pollution. How do I do it, right? What kind of technology that I can use, right? And when we talk about battery technology, everybody would be aware, like when the electric vehicle battery capacity goes below 70 or 75 percentage of their capacity, it can no more, you cannot use it for electric vehicle application. You have to remove that battery, but still the battery would be having a capacity above 70-75 percentage. But what will be the secondary use? Now people are thinking about like secondary usage of electric vehicle batteries, or the second life they call it, right? So that's again another particular data analytics you can do. That what will be the amount of battery that you will get from there. And then few people are thinking about like how do we recycle the materials which are available in the lithium ion batteries. How do I extract aluminum, how do I extract copper from that battery cells and still use it for making new batteries, right? Industries are evolving, right? Then as I told you, like charging infrastructure, yes, wireless charging standards are getting evolved, right? And primarily now why electric vehicle is taking forward is because of the stringent norms. Norway has the highest or it has the very stringent fuel emission norms. It says like 85 grams of CO2 per kilometer. That should be the emission level, right? Uh, they are very ahead. Their norms are very stringent, right? And then market specific strategies, right? Emphasis on public or shared mobility. If you look at uh, other countries, most of the countries, they wanted to have this pool taxis or pool ride, right? The concept of pool ride has evolved from there, wherein like a single vehicle is trying to they single vehicle they try to use it for shuttling, wherein like the concept of vehicle pooling comes into picture. Then public charging stations. In India, we are trying to have, this is our target, right? Every 50 to 100 kilometers within that, we should have some, at least one fast charging. That is the target in which Indian market is actually moving towards, right? What will be the energy demand, right? Very important thing. When we did this analysis, we found like at least another decade, we need somewhere close to 3.2 trillion watt hour only for electric vehicle, not for anything else, right? And out of which like 800 trillion watt hour of additional energy demand, right, must be exclusively through renewables. That also they have fixed a target. How they fix the target? It's all studying the data, right? Data analytics have led to fix this particular boundary condition. Then what will be the transformational impact, right? So all these things plays a very major role, right? So I have given a lot of conclusion in that, right? So in the countries studied, whatever countries that I have projected, right? All those countries had a long-term goal. Their roadmaps were well defined to faster EV adaptation, right? What should be the tax exemption? What should be the subsidy that they should give? How the subsidy will be phased out year after year, So what mean the percentage in that? So all these things have been very well defined. And then the stringent policies, right? Now in India, as you are aware, like most of the OEMs have stopped manufacturing diesel vehicles costing below 15 lakhs, right? Most of the OEMs have stopped manufacturing. It's all because of the stringent norms. In Indian Bharat 6 standard, for particularly for a car segment, OEMs are finding it very difficult to uh, adhere to that particular norms. And then like government policies are trying to introduce to establish more public EV charging stations, right? Just like hope the people who could imagine there were a lot of public telephone booth centers where they are almost 15-20 years before. Now people are thinking about like, why don't we have such kind of public charging stations available there wherever, right? So that they can provide facility for charging the electric vehicles, right? Then, okay. So to summarize all these things, right? So you have lot of data, right? You get data from everywhere, forecasting data, you have clustering data, you have scheduled data, right? Most of the academicians would be aware of like this charging profile, right? So what is the driving pattern? So we are confined to this particular charging profile block alone. But when it comes to an industry or when it comes to a particular implementation, we cannot refine, we cannot focus only on this, right? Uh, good one simple tip that I could give right out of my little knowledge what I have, uh, most of you would have done it, but for the people who are not aware of this particular feature or this particular way to commercialize their research, for them, I'm giving you this little hint for you. When you try to do a technology transfer to an industry, try to have a holistic approach, try to bring in every parameter that you can bring in to prove your contribution will add value to the industry, would add value to the product which is available in the industry. This is the one uh, important thing as an academician, as a researcher, or somebody who wants to really contribute to the industry. If you are trying to do something, we request you to think in a holistic way, right? For that, we know that these are some of the standards. What is the energy vehicle efficiency? What is the battery size? All those things we are aware. Like, so you should be able to map it with the policy first, right? Map it with the policy first. Do a lot of data collections, right? And one hint that I have already given you is that you try to develop a system, right? We most of the in academia we will be using MATLAB, right? That is one powerful tool that we can always uh, depend on to generate synthetic data. We have Python code, we can generate synthetic data from there in an Excel format and do a lot of data analytics. Then visualize it first, how the data are there, right? Try to do this ETL process, right? Extract, transform, and load the data, right? ETL process, do that particular data cleaning, right? Integrate the data from as many sources possible, right? So for the slides, whatever I have shown you, uh, we have compared somewhere closely to 200 to 230 data analytics websites. From there, we gathered those information. So data integration, and from there, develop your model, then optimize it, do some analysis, right? So these are some of the simple steps that you can keep in your mind when you are doing data analytics, particularly for an EV domain. This process is similar for any engineering application. So you can take it, right? So this, I find it from one of the article I have referred that particular source. So that's it from my side. Maybe if there is any question, I would like to answer. So on a broad perspective, I have given you some information related to how data analytics can be implemented in electric vehicle. I have just used the case study, what we have done, and given you some of the correlations, what can be done in the industry. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Paul, for sharing your expertise with us. That you have taken us through the basics of data science, and you have shared like what to say in depth about the data analytics in EV charging. Thank you so much. Participants, do you have any questions or queries? You can raise it now. Any queries? Okay, if there is no query, we will wind the session. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Paul, for sharing your expertise with us. It was so informative. We could learn many things from your presentation. Thank you so much, Dr. Paul.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I know it's a very long day for everyone, right? Thank you for attentive. Hope I have given little more value addition to your
Certainly,
expertise.
you have given us, you have added a lot of values. Right? We could know what is going on in the market now. Right? We could understand the basics also.
Okay.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
sir. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Good
sir.
night. Participants, do join us tomorrow at 6 p.m. We have two interesting sessions scheduled tomorrow also. Right? We hope you to see at 5:55 itself. So promptly we can start at 6 p.m. tomorrow. Right? So from 6 p.m. to 9, we'll be having the sessions tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Through the same
Mani
mode.
sir, Mani sir, kindly post the feedback in the chat box.
Feedback
Has been
posted,
posted.
Is like, ma'am, have you posted the feedback form, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Feedback link has been posted.
Kindly
So
fill in the feedback that will be considered for your attendance. So don't miss out the feedback forms. Once the feedback forms, like it will be active for half an hour. Kindly fill in and give us the reply. Thank you so much. Right? Thank you so much.
Thank you,
We
ma'am.
can all read.
Thank you, ma'am.